Leeds United want to finish top two. These are games that you should win. This is your Leeds United versus Derby County preview for the game at Ellen Road tomorrow afternoon. Leeds United should be taking 3 points. Should be comfortable. But will it? Listen, before we get into the preview, like the video, subscribe to the channel, of course. Drop your thoughts, comments, score predictions below. We're going to get into all of that. I'm going to put my preferred 11 out there as well. I'm very interested to see what you guys would do with the players available to us. And listen, that shout out to Mr. P as well for the super thanks on the last video. Much appreciated. So, getting into this. Every game is big, by the way. I think it goes without saying now that every game is big. We know that 3 points are essential in order for us to get into that top two and stay there. But in terms of what we've got tomorrow against Derby County, and I need to put context into this as well, because this isn't the old Derby County that we're facing, you know, the one that, you know, embarrassingly we built a little mini rivalry with. This is completely different manager, different players. They're at a different stage of their, you know, development now in comparison to ours. So this should be just another championship fixture. I get the whole Derby thing with the whole semi-final playoff loss, but to me, I don't look at it that way, and that's just me personally. Again, I speak for myself and myself only. I just look at this as another team that's pretty poor in the championship and one Leeds United should be taken care of. So even with in light of the injury news to Firpo, if he's a late call, Schmidt not ready for 90 minutes, I still feel that we'll have more than enough to beat this Derby County team. And when you look at their manager, Paul Warne, this is his mindset going in. And I listened to a few of his comments. It's also the bit where he's defending Daniel Farker in this. But it's very easy for him to do so because he's under very big pressure himself, under very heavy pressure, I should say. And, you know, he's talking about trying to be the best version of themselves. Yeah, that's cute and all. That ain't going to get the job done, though, against Leeds United at Ellen Road. Maybe if you was at home, you might have a shout, knowing our away record, it being an early kickoff. But against Leeds United at Ellen Road, they're going to have to bring a lot more than that. And just to give you some more context in regards to Derby's, you know, latest results from the last time they won a game, 1-1 draw against fellow strugglers Plymouth, a 1-1 draw away at Preston, 2-1 home loss against Swansea, a 2-1 home loss against Sheffield Wednesday. Guys, again, speaking as a fan, the players, managers should all be professional with this. This should be a home banker tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow lunchtime, early kickoff or not. We should be taking care of Derby County. They're not going to be bringing anything to the table that we should be concerned about, except this. And Joe Donahue pointed this out, so, you know, shout out to him for this kind of info. But Leeds United, the only team in the championship yet to concede a headed goal this season, which is pretty amazing, actually. Next, they face Derby County, whose 11 set-piece goals account for half of their season total and is the most in the division. And I remember bringing up Curtis Nelson set-piece because it was during the midst before we actually did score from a set-piece. And I said, look, I want you all to go and watch Curtis Nelson's goal from a set piece. It was just a simple goal, corner floated in. Curtis Nelson running, header, goal. Simple as that. No jockeying for position in the box, trying to look like you're trying to get away from someone just for the corner to be wasted. Just a simple bread and butter set piece. And that is something that we're going to have to look out for tomorrow. Of course it is. But even with that stat in mind, the quality of play that we possess in comparison to Derby County, we should be getting the job done, whether it be set pieces or open playing. Just for clarity here, let me just get their team up. Where have I put it? Here it is. Smooth. But, you know, this is Derby County's team in their last loss against Sheffield Wednesday. Guys, this isn't the team with a young emerging Mason Mount. This isn't, you know, a team with, you know, a sniper like Darren Ben or any of those other players that they possessed back in the day. It's not the same, you know, Tamori. This is a completely different Derby County. Marcus Harness, you know, Curtis Nelson, Cashin, Craig Forsyth. Is that Jerry Yates up front? Listen, Mendez Lang. I'm not, again, not being rude, but Leeds United, we should be taking care of business tomorrow. And this is the team. This is the team I would go with. And just before I put the team up, we know what team we're going to see tomorrow, barring the left-back spot, because there is question marks over Junior Firpo. But I thought I'd just put out what I would do tomorrow in terms of form, in terms of how to get a few goals as well. And that's why I put in the thumbnail about Peru and Joseph. Would you guys put the two up front, or do you think that it should just be one and a different kind of formation or a different kind of setup. And this is what I've gone with. Even though it's not going to happen, people, because I've put Darlow in goal just because, if we, in case we concede a penalty, you never know. Darlow might give us a 33 and a third percent chance more to save it. Shout out Scott Steiner. But you never know. Listen, the goalkeeper it is what it is with that. We know it's going to be Meslier, but I just put Darlow in anyway. That's just me. But I've gone with Verba at left back for this one, and that is purely on the basis that I don't think Schmidt is going to last too long. And usually, sometimes I do say if they're not fully fit, start them and then take them off. But in Schmidt's case, he's just come back from a hernia surgery, and it just reminds me of Jorginho last season, where he was thrown back into the fire way too soon, and it was telling. So what I would do, Verba has built up his match fitness. He's played more football recently. He's probably itching for a start. Probably wants to audition a little bit as well for Salzburg or Leipzig or wherever he wants to go in January. So if you want to get maximum value for him, we're going to have to put him in the shot window. And I guess you could kind of say that for Meslier as well. So maybe stick Meslier back in there. But in terms of Verba, we know he's a centre back, but he has played left back before for both club and country. So I would put him in there. And if we're doing well, which I hope we are, then bring in Schmidt for like the last. Yeah, it will be the last 20 minutes, won't it, people? Let's not kid ourselves. It will be 70 minutes. And if Verba has run his race or Schmidt is ready to take 20 minutes on, then do that change then. And that's why I would start with Verba. But listen, if you would put Schmidt in it from the start, put it in the comments below. No problem with that. Strauch, Roden, Bogle, that kind of just writes itself really at this stage. Midfield, I'm sticking with Rothwell and Tanaka for now. The Ampadu news is very interesting. Ampadu won't be back for this game, but yeah, I think it's coming. It's coming soon with Ampadu coming back to take one of his spots. I don't think we need Gilavogi to start in this kind of game. I think that we will be more than good enough in the midfield battle against this Derby County team. So I would go with Rothwell and Tanaka, and of course Rothwell gives you a chance from set pieces, and Tanaka, we know what his game is. He's an all round, all action player. And again, with that, it's you can tell football's so volatile because up until last week, where he conceded the penalty against Blackburn, people saying that he had a bad game just because of that. But in the previous weeks, it just seemed like anytime he passed from one player to another, it's like he's man of the match. Crazy how football works sometimes. But listen, Rafael Tanaka, they've done well. I think this is another game that they can both thrive in. Now, this is where it gets interesting for me, and I'm really interested to get your thoughts. I wouldn't go with the two up front tomorrow just purely because I feel like Peru is a little bit out of sorts and could possibly do with another cameo from the bench just to get his goal ratio back up because it's worked. You know what? That's the one thing that has worked with Peru where he's come off the bench and scored a goal, and I do think he's capable of that. So this is nothing against Joel Peru, but I just think that with the energy of Joseph up against those Derby County centre backs and just give him more of a chance with the players I've got behind him, I feel like he'll probably get a little bit more service with these three behind. And I've gone with Ramazani, assuming that he is fitter to start now. I would absolutely start Ramazani. He just gives us that something a little different. And uh, I've gone with Dan James down the right because Dan James, head down. He'll put one across the box for Joseph to try and get on the end of. You know what it is with Dan James, especially at home. The one that I had a conundrum with was Nanto Solomon, but I've gone with Solomon just purely off the basis of the way he's played over the last few games. I think Solomon has been really good. And I was asked yesterday, who do you think can play in that 10 spot? And I do think Solomon can play there. So if you got Solomon there and he can feed Joseph from that position, I think it's a no-brainer. But look, this is the beauty of what we've got. This is a headache. It was a headache for me trying to get, shall I put Nanto there or Solomon? Shall I move James off and put Nanto on the right? It is a wonderful decision to make. That's the depth we have with this squad and why there has been question marks about Daniel Farker's job because the results haven't been equivalent to the squad that we've got. But I would go with this setup. Now, if you would change it, I'm absolutely fine with that because all the options you're going to mention, bar one, are ones where you go, I see what you're saying. Aronson, for me, he needs to hold the bench for a bit. He's out of form, out of sorts. I would put Aronson on the bench for this one, but we know he's probably going to start. So, like I say, this is probably a moot point. But this is what I would do tomorrow. I think you've got a lot of balance here. You've got a lot of the technical players in there. Ramazani, Solomon. You've got James for the pace and power. And Joseph, he's hungry. He's hungry to get back on the score sheet. He's hungry to get goals from starts again, reclaim his place. It's a perfect mix for me, especially against this Derby team. But like I say, if you would start Peru and Joseph, let me know that as well. I'm completely with that in certain games. I just feel that tomorrow we can get a lot of joy with this. And with all that being said, I'm gonna go for a comfortable. This is probably a little bit much. I'm gonna go with a 3-0 win for Leeds United. Now I've said it out loud, it sounds crazy. Let me just dial it back a little. 2-0 win for Leeds United, okay? If there's anything more, awesome, okay? But that is my prediction. 2-0 win. Get your predictions in below. I will be back live straight after the game tomorrow to give a match reaction, and you guys get involved in the chat. You know the drill. You know how we do it on this channel. And listen, people, that is the match preview. Let me know your comments, thoughts below. Like the video before you go, and I'll see you live straight after the game tomorrow. Peace out.